We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. With us is News Channel 5 Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams. We're talking about the series Broken, which is running for the I-Team throughout the month of November on News Channel 5's network. And yeah, we've got this piece that's going to run tonight at 6 o'clock. And it's looking at DCS. And boy, we're getting a lot of calls and comments on this. A lot of people have strong opinions on DCS.
Yeah, you know, and they really do have a tough job. And you have a new commissioner, Jennifer Nichols, who, as you and I were just talking, was the prosecutor in the Holly Bobo case.
A lot of people follow the Plus, and they watched it gavel to gavel, and they're like, where do I recognize her from? Yes, she was the prosecutor out of Memphis, right?
Yeah.
In the Holly Bobo case.
And so she brings a law enforcement mindset to the job. And so, you know, one of the things she said at the end of our interview was, come back in a year.
Okay.
I think you're going to see a very different agency. And hopefully the work we're doing will help, you know, spark some of those reforms.
Yeah.
Because you know, it's a tough job.
I certainly hope she's right. Yeah. And she deserves the time to try to make a difference. She's new there. So let's go to Joe. Joe, good morning. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Joe.
Just a couple of comments real quick. DCS has been, the leader of the DCS has been a political appointment for years. And it's not, it's been in a mess for a long time. It's just now coming out. But they contract out the ankle monitor system to some other company. And it hadn't been too long ago that the guy, they asked him about why he wasn't keeping up with it. He said, well, it's been a month or two that I hadn't been paid by the state. So I just cut them off. So there was a month or two there that the ankle monitors wasn't doing any good at all because they wasn't even on.
Yeah, I remember seeing the story along those lines.
I think that involved the local court system.
That's what
it was not the Department of Children's Services.
Okay. As far as the electronic ankle monitors, though, it sounds like they depend on those.
Yeah, they really do depend heavily on those. But you know, whenever a kid is somewhere where they're not supposed to be, they have not up until now been very proactive about, okay, let's send someone out to figure out what that kid's up to. Now, as a result of the questions that we've been raising, they've started doing that. And in one case, the commissioner told me police got there and found the juvenile in a car with other kids with a gun and some marijuana. And so that shows you the kind of change that can occur with this agency and how it can make a difference.
Absolutely. And by the way, just so folks understand just tangibly, the ankle monitor, it's like a GPS. If they're out of an area where they're supposed to be, they've got monitors back wherever in the headquarters there. They can say, oh, this guy's out of the realm here.
Yeah, they get
call
an
it
alert.
in. They go, they can track it, and they'll find them specifically where they are. It'll lead them to the individual.
Exactly. Now, here's the catch. It's like your phone.
Yeah.
You have to keep it charged up. And so it's up to the kids, the juveniles, to keep the ankle monitors charged. And up until now, again, when those ankle monitors go dead, and they may be dead for several days, DCS hasn't been in a great hurry to say, okay, we've got to figure out where this kid is.
Yeah, and there's no teeth to, incentive for these kids to keep them charged. What happens to them if they say, hey, you left it charged, go charge it, slap on them? What are they going to do to them?
Yeah,
honestly, these kids at this point are pretty savvy, and they know nothing's going to happen, or at least not yet. Let's go to Linda. Hi, Linda. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning, fellas. Well, first of all, it seems like the kids nowadays know how to keep their phones charged up, so they should be able to keep that ankle monitor charged up. Secondly, I understand that, like you said, that a lot of the workers may be afraid to go into certain areas, but can they not contact Metro Police and have them meet them there without telling the family that they're on the way? And what has happened with the Yorlitz case? I'm really concerned about that because I do know a family that was taking care of one of the kids that was involved in that. So I'm just wondering how things are going there.
And if we can get your number offline here, I'd like to chat with you.
Okay. Yeah, she's on line 2, and it's Linda. If you want to grab her number back there in control.
But as far as the latest, I haven't seen a recent ruling.
I haven't seen an update on that. No.
From the court. But again, Metro Police have offered.
You made that clear. Then they can call if they're afraid to go someplace.
And here's the other interesting little discovery I made. I was reading the rules and regulations for the Department of Children's Services. That's what we nerdy investigative reporters do. And there's actually a rule that says a DCS caseworker can request an exemption from having to make home visits if they consider it to be too dangerous. Now think about it. They're sending these children back to these environments that they don't feel comfortable going themselves.
There's a problem right there.
Yeah.
It's too dangerous then, but yet we'll send the child back into it.
Right.
What a mess. All right, let's go next to, I believe, Charlie. Charlie, good morning. Hi, Charlie.
Hey, Nick, how you doing this morning?
Good, Charlie. What's on your mind?
Hey, I got 2 comments here. One, Phil, we got the Metro Jail over there in Nashville off of Harding Place is basically sitting idle, if I'm hearing right. Is that correct?
Well, it's not idle right now. I mean, that's where they've housed all the inmates while they've completed work on the new one downtown.
Okay, but when that is completed in downtown, couldn't they take those juveniles that have committed crimes and take them there instead of putting them in where they're at now to kind of hold them until their court appearance? Because I've been watching Phil's story, and it seems like all they're doing is just, a turntable. They're just bringing them in and let them walk out the front door, and it seems to me like that they're not accomplishing anything.
Phil, I'll let you comment. When you came on last, when we introduced this series at the beginning of the book, I mean, you talked about the laws and the way they're set up. The issue here with DCS and these kids being home is not a space issue. I mean, we have a juvenile justice center that probably could be bigger, but it's not about, well, we don't have places to put them. It's under the law, right?
Yeah, under the law, local facilities, local detention facilities cannot be used to house kids for punishment.
Right.
That they can detain violent offenders if there's a risk of them being released to the community while they're awaiting trial. But under the law, if a kid is convicted of a crime, they can't just be locked up.
As long as they're juveniles. So we're not talking about adults.
I mean, that they can be sent to a certain to a state facility for treatment and rehabilitation. But again, the law presumes that unless they're tried as an adult, they are going to receive treatment, potentially in a secure facility, but then they're going to try to send them back home and to rehabilitate them and get them back home.
And they have to decide if and when they're going to do this with the type of offender. We just had this from Christy, who's following us on Facebook right now. We're streaming live there at newschannel5.com. She says a neighbor had her car stolen, and you're probably following it too, Phil, last night by a 15 and 16-year-old. They were caught and they were back home in 2 hours. Okay, they just stole a car. They're caught, and 2 hours later, they're back home.
And I'm going to throw a little curveball here to Mary Elena. I mean, if you want to cue up the kids or the dangerous game story, we've got some video that shows this exact situation.
She's good. She's ready to go. Let's have a look.
Okay.
I'm behind a 72 vehicle, the white Audi sedan.
It's a rental taken with keys.
So it's a rental vehicle that was rented by someone that left their keys in it.
News Channel 5 Investigates was on patrol with Nashville's Juvenile Crime Task Force as they tracked a teen in a stolen car on the streets.
We're one marching on to North, going over the river.
And by air.
We'll be getting up in traffic at Gallatin Pike here in just a second.
And when officers finally had the vehicle cornered in heavy traffic,
Airlock drivers out bail and run to the back of the car going over the railroad track.
our cameras were there as police flooded the area.
They got him.
Suspect in custody?
Right on the east side or the west side of the bridge over in the grass of the elementary school.
Taking the 17-year-old suspect into custody.
You all right? Good job.
You got your keys on you?
Where's the car at?
Watch out. Oh, no. Breathe, huh? Relax.
So this is what we've been talking about the entire time, things we're seeing here every single week. 17-year-old in a stolen car. Again, a stolen car that was easily accessed because the owner or the driver operator left the keys accessible to him. A very nice vehicle, an Audi, very expensive vehicle. Now he's out cruising the streets of Nashville.
Here, let me open that up. See if
I didn't buy one.
Oh, here you go. That's a good one right there.
Oh, it is a ski mask. Look at that.
In fact, the number of kids charged with auto theft has dramatically skyrocketed in the last 5 years, and police say repeat offenders are a big part of the problem.
What's priors look like?
Previous vehicle theft, evading, resisting, assault of officer, theft of vehicle, trespass resisting.
So they had 2 prior motor vehicle theft charges, resisting arrest charges, evading arrest charges, and here we go again.
Our investigation discovered the teenager, whose name we don't know, was first arrested for auto theft in July 2018 when he was 16. That charge was retired 6 months later, effectively giving him a second chance. His second arrest in July of this year, auto theft, assault of an officer, evading arrest, and resisting arrest. He was taken to juvenile detention and released after just over 2 hours. While awaiting a hearing on those charges, he got his third arrest. This time he was released after just 3 hours.
And then he's back out on the streets again.
Yeah, absolutely. He's back out on the streets again.
Lieutenant Blaine Whitehead heads the Juvenile Crime Task Force.
And we know whatever parent or guardian that had him to begin with had failed in their supervisor duties.
Isn't any wonder he keeps offending? He figures nothing's going to happen to me.
Yeah, and that's a real problem. I mean, we call this segment a dangerous game because that's sort of become the new thing on the streets of Nashville for kids, for juveniles to be stealing cars. And people are just making it so easy. I mean, people are getting out of their cars at markets, leaving the key fobs, sitting in the console. A very high percentage of cars that are stolen right now are being stolen with the keys in them.
And again, it is a game for them. This is different. These are not folks targeting vehicles, taking them to chop shops and trying to resell. It sounds like these kids just see a car they kind of like, and they figure, we're going to take it and go for a joyride, and we'll eventually just dump it somewhere. Exactly. That's all it is.
And police have really focused on auto theft because they consider that to be a gateway crime, because teens will steal cars and then they'll use those stolen vehicles to travel to other parts of town, in some cases to commit armed robberies, so they become their getaway cars. And so this has become a serious problem on the streets of Nashville. The problem is, up until now, they get busted in a stolen car and they're back home in 2 hours.
And I don't want to get too far afield from the DCS issue here, but just people are going to be sitting here saying, all right, so why 1, 2, a third time? Is this the judge going lenient, or is this the judge having no other choice but to release them?
Well, there are a couple of factors. The state law says, considers auto theft to be a property crime.
Okay, not violent.
Not a violent crime. And so a juvenile who steals a car cannot be detained.
Okay.
Now, what we did find, the law does say if a crime like that is committed while on probation or while they're awaiting trial on another charge, then they can be detained. And the juvenile court system says they realize, as a result of the questions we were asking, that they have this model they use to assess whether a child should be detained or should be released. Kind of go through a checklist. They were not looking at repeat auto thefts in their model. So they have now changed that model.
It's about time. Listen, we have to take a break on that, but as someone just sitting at home watching it, it's very frustrating when you see 1, 2, 3, again, property crimes. Those are all red flags. And ultimately, when does one of these individuals finally be held accountable? When they kill someone. Why do we have to wait for someone to die before it's taken seriously? We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more of your phone calls and more of our comments on Facebook as well right after this.